The following audio recording has been designed for learning purposes only. Do not share, distribute, or provide any type of copies, or this audio lesson will not be made available to you. Good luck with today's lesson.
So a reminder today that first homework assignment's due. That's the course introduction where you're emailing me your career interests, hardware, software, and a picture of yourself. Technically that was due at 12, but I'll take it at the end of class. And then January 24th, a week from today, the Windows training that we went over on Tuesday, like how to walk through the My IT Lab Windows training there. There was, 20-some steps, I believe. And that's worth 10 points when you complete all those. Remember, it's going to automatically submit when you're done. Don't skip any steps. Just remember those rules we talked about. Don't click the submit button because otherwise you got to go back and do the whole thing again. Just if it's not submitting, you missed a step and you got to click the view all button and go back through it. What's that? Correct. Yes. So yeah, the one with the My IT Lab here is actually at the Pearson website. Word Project 1 is a sheet that I'm going to hand out to you at the end of class today after we do our lab, and that'll be a homework assignment due as well. We are meeting on Tuesday next week. There's a holiday on the Monday if you have Monday, Wednesday classes, but we don't have a skipped day there. We get the benefit when it comes to Easter in April though, because then we're going to get the whole week off. So it's trade-offs there for whichever class days that you go. Today we are going to do a lab, so I'm going to pass that out. Just like our previous lab we did a week ago, I advise sticking with me on this. There's a number of, extremely easy things in here, and there's also some tricky things. One of the trickiest things is a next page section break. I've had a lot of people, if you jump ahead of me, if you mess up your section break, you're going to have a document that's all messed up, and you can lose a lot of points off of that, so it's best to stick with me there. And there's a couple other things too. We want to make sure we save it properly, including upgrading it to a new format, because I'm going to have you open an old document and upgrade it. You do need your USB drive for this. It has all of your files on it that we created last week. For those of you guys that did send me the course introduction, thank you. Appreciate it. I responded to everybody up until maybe 10 o'clock last night. If you sent it after that, I have not seen it. If I did respond to you and you haven't seen my response, you can check your email. I gave you feedback on whether your assignment is completely full credit or you needed to give me some more information maybe about hardware or software. I gave you a second chance if I got to it before late last night. I'll post those grades for those assignments this afternoon. Gotcha. I think I saw you on there last night.
Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, so this is my reason for it?
Correct. In order to do this lab then, you're going to have to go out to Canvas. Have you got a Canvas log on? You need to log in here because you're going to have to extract some files. There we go, right click it, extract all, and then just extract. The file that you're going to need for the lab is inside of the labs folder. And Word labs and all go in here with that. So it doesn't matter if you store it on the drive here today, just make sure you upload it so it's all uploaded to Dropbox when you're done. So we'll have that one done. We can talk about the rest at the end. Anybody else forget their drive? Okay. Yeah? So you don't know if you did it right or? From the Windows lab that I gave you? Okay. By the way, did you get that course introduction too? That's due today? I'll take it, let's say up until about 4 today. So sometime, after class or whatever, make sure you get that done too. For the files, go to Files, go to Course Documents, and Virtual K Zip. Go over to the 3 dots at the end there and download that thing. It won't let you preview it, so you got to download it. So just hit close there. Just go over here. There you go. It's going to take it a second to download here, and then when it does, I'd go over here to your downloads folder and extract all. So go into downloads. There you go. Right click and extract all. And your files you're going to need for the assignment today are inside there. You guys that just got here need a lab sheet. Yep. You're welcome. You need your USB drive for the assignment. I think I got everybody caught up now that didn't have their drive. Okay, so I've plugged my drive in. I'm going to minimize that other window. I'm extremely happy because at the moment we have our projection on the screen again. The guy came out yesterday and fixed it. So we have a taskbar that's visible down there now. So out on your drive, we should have a Virtual K folder that's been extracted, so it doesn't have a zipper on it. For some reason you didn't extract yours, you would have to right click on the Virtual K folder and say extract all, and then you would have the extracted version. And for this assignment, first of all, I just want to point out how these labs work, because this one's a little differently structured than the other one. It'll tell you at the top how much it's worth. It's worth 20 points as opposed to that other 10.1. Most all the rest of the labs, I think maybe all the rest of the labs are worth 20. It's actually double like in a homework assignment, so it's really important to me that you're here to class participating in it and that you get your training through the lab environment. So that's why I actually double the points. I think it's worth it to me that you guys were here and did all this. So it's kind of like a good value for class if you're anytime during the class sessions, through the semester you're struggling with points. It's a good way to get some points out of these labs. There's a group there that says assignment headers, and your homework assignments are going to have that similar thing. Don't get confused there. It doesn't mean that you do your header first. It just means this is how you do a header. So I usually just skip right over that and go down to the assignment details. Starting file for this assignment's in the Berkeley K Labs Word Labs folder. So I'm going to navigate to that. I'm going to go into that Berkeley K folder that we created. I'm going to double click the Labs folder. I'm going to double click the Word Labs folder. These are the files that I had you look at the other day once we were done, starting with Bailey there and working their way down alphabetically. We're looking for hereisbegin.doc, and that happens to be this one right here, hereisbegin. So I'm going to go down to hereisbegin and double click that to launch it. Best way to double click is right on top of the icon. That way you don't accidentally get into a rename situation for the file. The file should look like this. There's some text, and there's a picture of Harris at the bottom, top of the building. Does anybody, or did anybody have trouble finding the file?
What's the name of the file?
Harris Begin. You got it. No troubles? Yep. Go up to your Berkeley K folder. So click on your drive and double click on the Berkeley K folder. Double click Labs, double click Word Labs, and then go down to Here's Begin and double click that. Yep. That's where I'm at the moment. As we proceed to step C here in a minute, I also have a very important note there. It says ensure your files save your drive. As you're working on lab assignments, homework assignments, I'm going to highly suggest you save things to your drive and you save it under completed assignments for that appropriate application. So we will be doing that shortly. After we've opened it on step A, it says you may turn the hidden paragraph markers on and off as needed. On your ribbon, if you have the Home tab selected, so I'm making sure that this Home tab is white right here, there is a button right here that's called Show Hide, and if I click on that, it turns on the hidden paragraph markers. Anytime the Enter key was pressed, it shows like one of those things that looks like that, a backwards black P, and that's a marker to represent a paragraph. So we have one at the end of each one of these lines, we have one at the end of that line, one at the end of this paragraph. In English or writing terms or concepts, a paragraph of course is a group of sentences. In this class it can sometimes be confusing because your textbook will refer to select the 4 single line paragraphs. So like, let's say in your book you had to select these 4 paragraphs right here. These are actually considered paragraphs even though they're only one line. So kind of just get used to the information technology terminology. So those are hidden markers. Also, you'll notice inside of the document, in between the words, there's little dots once we click that. Anytime the space bar was pressed, there's a dot. It's like right in the middle of the line. Tab characters, I don't see any there at the moment, but they are also represented by an arrow. So you can see hidden characters in your document. This is going to be vital to helping you work through this next month's worth of Word assignments. For this assignment, I'm going to turn this back off. I may turn it back on at some point, but at the moment I'm just going to click that again. It turns it off. The characters don't print whether they're on or off. They're what's considered non-printing characters. They're just there to help you on the screen. Step B says select the title line. Here is Las Vegas, database critical to company success. That's this first line here. Now instead of dragging through it, if you're used to dragging through things, I'm going to do a lot of, let me increase this a little bit too here. I'm going to do a lot of selection where I'm off to the left hand side here in this margin. So I'm going to go to the directly to the left of Harris Las Vegas database critical to company success. In the margin I get a white pointing arrow, and if I single click it selects the line. This margin is also known as the selection bar in Word. So it allows us to select multiple lines or single lines. Once it's selected, it says to apply the title style. On a ribbon, this is our first experience really with the Office application, so I'm going to use this. I use the labs as like a lecture topic as well as we go to explain things. So I have groupings, and at the bottom of the grouping there's a name. So clipboard, font, paragraph, styles, and editing are our groupings on our home tab. They're divided by these gray lines, and in the lower right corner of those groupings I have a square. And the square is a dialog box launcher which allows me actually to access more detailed items for that area. As if it wasn't enough that we have all these buttons in that area, you can actually do more than that. So there's a lot of tools in Word. For this one, where it says apply the title style, under the styles grouping, currently this selection that we have is what's considered the normal style. And I'm going to have you go over a few more right here and click the title style. And you'll notice quite a big change there. When I clicked the title style, it applied a style to that line, which included the fact that it centered it. So it changed it from a left alignment to a centered alignment here. It also applied a different font, which was Calibri Light. It's a little bit larger font. It's 16 points. And it also provided me quite a bit of padding above the words here and a slight bit of padding below the words. And when I say padding, we're going to explore that here. It says click the paragraph dialog box launcher. So while this is still selected, here's my paragraph grouping, and that little square is what's considered the dialog box launcher. If I hover my mouse over it, it'll tell me paragraph settings, fine-tune the layout of the current paragraph, including spacing, indentation, and more. So I'm going to click that. When I applied this title style, the style came with a 12-point before spacing and a 3-point after spacing. That's why you see 12 points of padding up here and 3 points of padding below here. So the style was already pre-built with those settings, and it applied automatically when we clicked it. However, we can make fine-tune adjustments ourselves. So I'm going to have you guys change the after box also to 12 so that both the before and after are 12. And to do that, there's these little arrows here, and you can just click the little arrow on that thing a couple of times to make both of them 12 PT or 12 points. There's a preview down here. It's kind of small, but there is a preview, actually a live preview of what's going on there. It actually increased our padding. I'm going to click OK. And you'll notice that the gray area below the words now is equal to the gray area above the words. That's considered paragraph spacing there. If I was turning on my hidden markers again, notice that the blank line here was created by a paragraph return or a hard return with your enter key on your keyboard. This one has only the enter after the line. All the other padding was applied through the paragraph before and after spacing, not through an enter. I'm going to turn those back off. Okay, so step C says to save the file as a Word 2016 document, and we do have to make some changes on how we save this here because it's actually opened as a Word 97 2003 document with a .doc extension. Because it's an older file and we're in 2016, if you look up at your title bar, it says here is begin compatibility mode. So it's actually in compatibility mode for the newer version. So to do step C, I'm going to go up to my file menu and I'm going to click File. I'm going to go to click Save As. And then I'm going to click Browse here under Save As so that I can browse for a location to save this. And I have to do multiple things now once I have this Save As dialog box up. The first thing I have to do is, if you look up at the file path or the breadcrumbs to where we're at, it says this PC, Berkel K, actually it'd be your name of your drive, and then Berkel K folder, labs, Word Labs. That's where we opened the file from, so by default it wants to save it back to that location. If we had a new file, it'd probably want to save it to the Documents folder in the local drive. Either case, I don't want to put my completed file in with my starting files and start getting things mixed up. So I'm going to change the location by clicking my drive here on the left. I'm going to then go into my completed assignments folder, and I'm going to go into my Word folder.
Sorry, but for those who forgot their drives, where should we go?
For those of you guys without a drive, I would just click on the desktop over here, and then just save it on your desktop so it's flat out on your desktop for the machine.
So we're going to completed assignments instead of the word lab?
Correct.
Save it?
Yep, because your labs folder is your starting files for assignments that are outside of the My IT Lab environment.
Okay.
And we're then saving to completed assignments, so we're separating them. Now under completed assignments Word, I do have a chapter 1 folder that I created. I did that for my other class. I had to kind of rush them through a little bit because they have the holiday they're missing. On Tuesday, I'll be doing that for you guys too. But I'm not going to put this into chapter 1 folder. I'm just going to put it straight under the Word folder, so that's probably where you're at. As long as I've navigated there, I'm good in that part. And then the file name should be changed here from Harrah's Begin. If I click on the file name Harrah's Begin and then I click in the box again there, notice that on the file name I want you to save it as Harrah's Las Vegas. I can actually just backspace the word Begin and then type in Las Vegas. I don't want to save it yet because I want to upgrade the document. So it should be Harrah's Las Vegas. The save as type is not going to be Word 97 2003 because I want to upgrade. So I'm going to click right on those words there, or I can click over by this drop down arrow. And I can save as a whole bunch of different types of file and types of files. So as you notice, if you were really getting into some advanced topics, you could potentially save as any types of these files. We're going to do the first one in the list there that says Word document. Those are the 3 things I need to do. I'm just going to cover those again. So we changed the location that we're saving it at. So I'm saving it to completed assignments Word folder if I have my drive. If you don't have your drive, just click the desktop here. File name should be Harrah's Las Vegas. So you've retyped the file name so it's not Harrah's Begin anymore. And you're saving it as a Word document instead of a Word 97 2003 document, which is going to upgrade its status to a newer document version. Is that all good? Okay, go ahead and click Save then. You're going to get a dialog box here in the middle. I'm going to read through what it says here. Your document will be upgraded to the newest file format. While you get to use all the new features in Word, some minor layout changes are possible. If you prefer not to upgrade, press Cancel. We're going to upgrade though. So it does say minor changes in layout, and generally it is fairly minor. Like I've actually seen things just make a slight adjustment. You'll see like a slight movement sometimes, or it's just usually quite minor. It can be major though, depending on what you have in there. We're going to click OK. When we clicked OK, the new file is saved as Harrah's Las Vegas up there in my title bar. The compatibility mode goes away because now we've upgraded it to the newer style. Is everything okay? No?
I deleted the wrong. I've been mistaken save before, and I went back and saved it, and I tried to delete the file that I messed up on, and I deleted
The original?
I did it.
You got it back? What's that? Turn on your good paragraph marker. those should be at 0. And then both the other two at 12. Yeah, should be good now. Center it. There you go. Yep.
I got a question. This was saying that I made the changes, showing changes and stuff. Like, I made a mistake in class and they need to roll. How do I
Rename it. Yeah, just right click and say rename. So if you right click on it, it should allow you to rename it. It's not. There you go. And then just change it to Here's Las Vegas. Now open it up. It's still in compatibility mode, so now do your file save as. Correct. There you go. And it'll give you the message about upgrading. We're not giving a document the same name as an open document. So you've already got an open document over there, so hit OK. Hit cancel. So you've got this one open too. That one looks like you actually did it right, so
Yeah, but I don't know how to.
find it. You're good actually. Hold on a second. You're overthinking this here. This document is Here's Las Vegas. It's been upgraded. You've done what I asked there. If you go to File, it's stored under Complete Assignments Word.
Okay.
So you should be good. You go to your drive to verify your situation. This one still says 97-2003. E, Complete Assignments Word. E, Complete Assignments Word. Huh. Let's just do a save here. I see what you're saying. You must have deleted it. Well, I don't know how you did that, but. File, save as. Change that. Correct location. There's your message. Click OK. Now you're good.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Step D, change all your margins to 1 inch. Had we opened a Word 2016 document and started from scratch, all the margins are 1 inch in the modern version of Word. The older versions, 2003 or older, have wider margins on the left and right. Next week, we're actually going to, I'm going to have you open up the ruler. Actually, let's just do it now. I was going to skip it today, but if you go to, it's not on your assignment sheet here, but if you click the View tab up here, under the View tab, there's a show grouping kind of mostly to the left here, and there's a box for ruler. If you just put a check mark in there, it turns your rulers on. We're going to need these more on the lab next week, but you'll notice there's a vertical ruler, horizontal ruler. It's a little bit easier to see this way because here you're kind of eyeballing it, but if you look up here, notice that my margin goes from here over to this number 1, that's 1 inch, and then there's 2 more tick marks there, which adds another 1/4 inch. So the margins are actually 1 1/4 on this thing, and we need them to be the modern version. Even though we upgraded it, it didn't upgrade the margins automatically. So I'm going to have you go to the Layout tab. On the Layout tab, the furthest button to the left is Margins, and if you click that, it's going to tell you what we were just discussing. Down here, there's a shaded area that says Office 2003 default. Top and bottom are 1 inch, but left and right are 1.25, which is 1 1/4. We don't want that anymore. We want everything to be 1 inch according to the modern standard, which is what's considered the normal preset up here. So where you see normal up there, just click normal, and it's going to change your margins. You'll see your margins switch over here to where it's flatly 1 inch exactly here, and the same thing is true over here. That's 1 inch. Step E. It says to type your name over the words your name. So the first set of words here that say your name, I'm going to hover my mouse right in front of the word your, and I get an I-beam, which allows me to drag, and I'm just going to drag through that, and I'm going to type my first and last name, and this would be your first and last name here. Bless you. Step F, replace date, that's the word date, by inserting the automated date field, third format in the list. So I've already got the class title here for you. We're going to go down to this word that says date. And I'm going to drag through that again. And I'm going to go to my Insert tab. And then way over to the right, under the text grouping, it's far to the right here, it says Date and Time. I'm going to click that. My Date and Time dialog box opens up. And when it says third format in the list, I mean the third one down in the list here, which says January 17, 2019. Notice that there's other date formats you can use. This assignment, we want to use the third one. There's also a checkbox where you can update the date automatically. So like if this document was opened a week from now on January 24th, it would automatically say January 24th. I don't want you to do the update automatically because I want what they call a static date in here. I just want to use the date formatting. So you're going to click on the third one, January 17, 2019, and then click OK. The date is inserted with the words WordLab 1 pushing back up. And because they did that, just press Enter one time to force them back down to the fourth line so that the lines are separate. Step G, right-click the misspelled word, which has a red wavy underline, and change it to the correct spelling technology. So right here in the middle of the document, when you see a red wavy underline, you've probably got a misspelled word. So there's a missing O in there. If you just go to that word and just right-click on it, you'll get a shortcut menu with suggestions. In this case, only one suggestion. There's only one thing it could be that is what the word technology here is determining. So I'm going to click on technology. And the red wavy underline goes away. We get the correct spelling. So a lot of times if I have a misspelled word, that's one of the quickest ways to fix it, just to right click and choose the correct word. You can also run the spell checker. So you can go through the review tab, there's a spell checker, and you can run through all that. For your homework assignment, I'm going to have you do it that way. So I want you to experience a couple different ways on spell checking. Step H. This one's quite complex here, so I'm going to go slow through this one. On the Home tab, in the Editing group, choose Replace. So I'm going to click my Home tab. The Editing group is all the way off to the right here. So way to the right, there's a button that says Replace. If you click that, it'll open up a dialog box titled Find and Replace. Find and Replace has 3 tabs inside the dialog box: Find, Replace, and Go To. We're going to find something and replace it with something. So in the Find What box, I'm going to click in that Find What box, and you have to make sure you spell this exactly as shown. Here is total rewards. It has to have the apostrophe. You can turn on or off case sensitivity when you're finding things as well. I highly suggest just making it exactly like it's shown there. Capital H, capital T, capital R. There's apostrophe between the H and the S on Harrah's. Harrah's Total Rewards. I'm going to go extremely slow through this step here because this is tedious, and if you make a mistake, it's hard to back out of it. At least for me, because I got a lot of students to come around to and fix. So we want to try to avoid that at all costs. So now, after you've typed that, I also want to clarify on my assignment sheet after rewards there was a period, but that's just because there's a sentence on my sheet. There's no actual period after that when you're finding it. Then I'm going to click in the replace with box. It says type total rewards. Again, you're putting a capital T and a capital R here. No period. Now, on your homework assignment, the homework assignment is going to be a little bit easier than this assignment because on the homework, that's all I want you to do is find something that's text and replace it with something. It's actually an insurance company. The homework assignment's an insurance company that got bought out by another company, and because of that, they have to upgrade their name on the documents. So you're basically upgrading the company name in 7 spots on the homework assignment. But for this one, besides just replacing some text with some other text, I also want to replace some colors and italicization. So it says, after we've typed in total rewards, we're going to click the More button, but I want you to click back. Before you do that, make sure you're in the Replace With box and there's a blinking cursor here. Then click More. Then go down to the lower left corner again and click the Format button, and then click Font. And before we proceed any further, the dialog box that you opened up should be titled Replace Font up here. It should not say Find Font. If yours says Find Font, let me know so I can come help you to make sure we get Replace Font. Okay, so click next to Total Rewards in the Replace With box, then click Format, and then Font. You got it. Yep. Okay, you're typing Total Rewards there. So type out Total Rewards. Capital R. Still got it, yeah. It's W-A-R-D-S. So R-E-W-A-R-D-S. There you go. Now click the More button. Lower left. Then click Format. Lower left again. Way down to the bottom. And then Font. F-O-N-T, Font. Font, F-O-N-T. And then notice that your box says Replace Font. That's what you want. Nobody else has trouble with it saying Replace Font? Okay. So it says here, we want to replace the font with italic font style, dark red color. So in the Replace Font dialog box, you're going to go up here under Font Style and click this word that says italic. Notice that your preview for the word Total Rewards changes to an italic preview. And then also where this box on the left says Font Color and it says No Color, click the drop down arrow. I want to explain colors just briefly here too, since we're just getting started this semester. Your theme colors come with the theme that your document contains. So we currently have an Office 2016 theme since we upgraded to Office 2016, or the Office theme. So that's what the theme is. It comes with those colors by default. Any theme also comes with standard colors. Your standard colors are always available. The standard color we want here is dark red, which is in the lower left corner. And if you hover your mouse over it, you don't have to do any guesswork as to what the font color name is, because if I hover, it says dark red. So you're just clicking that lower left color that's dark red. For a homework assignment that's coming up, I don't think it's actually this first one, but it's next week's one. I'm going to have you do dark blue, which is on the standard colors as well. It'll say dark blue. So you can always tell what the color is by name by just hovering your mouse over it. My preview now should be italic and red, total rewards. If that looks good, click OK. And then I want you to verify this again. So you're finding here is total rewards spelled correctly with an apostrophe between the H and the S. You're replacing it with total rewards. So essentially you're eliminating Harrah's. The format for replace right below that should say font italic, comma, font color dark red. You must have done something inadvertently earlier. You do have this correct though right now. At the moment, I don't want you to get out of this because it's correct, and then we can fix that in a minute. If everything looks exactly like that, there's a button right here that says replace all. Go ahead and click that. You should get a message that says all done, we made one replacement. Did you get it? 0 means you got an error. So click OK. Did you inadvertently replace earlier? Yeah, you did. Somehow you got total rewards in here already instead of Harrah's total rewards. No, it didn't work. You must have done it something earlier. Somehow you must have clicked replace or something before we changed the style here. So once it's replaced, it can't be replaced again. So what you're just going to have to do is select total rewards and change it to italic and red. Yep. Yours worked, one replacement. So once you've done that now, just select your, click OK there. And X out of that box. And then just double click your name. On the home tab, where you see your font color right here, click the drop down arrow and choose the, yep. There you go. Yep. Click OK. You're missing the H after the A there. Now try it. Yep. There you go. You got it. Yes, I haven't done it yet, but yep. Double click on permanent. And then go to your drop down arrow on your font color. Right there. And then choose the black one right at the top. There you go. Okay, if you had all done, we made one replacement. On your homework assignment, it's going to say, if you do everything correctly, it'll say all done, you made 7 replacements. Here we're going to say OK. And then we're going to X out of this dialog box that's find and replace there. And you should see in this last paragraph, total rewards in italicized red.
I think I just like had my thing over here and it makes spent 10 red too.
Okay, so hit X, double click spent, and then just go to your font and change it to black. Drop down arrow on the font color. What's that? Go and click your replace again. You have the wrong character between the H and the S, so just go in there. So between the H and the S, you just have to change that character. So change it to this one without shifting. It's just that one. There you go. Now do replace all. You want to do replace all though, not replace. There you go. Now it's out of there. You got it. Yep. So finding and replacing one set of words versus another is obviously valuable. I'm going to have you do that in the homework, but here, why would you want to do something like that? I've actually bailed myself out of tons of hours of work with this tool. I one time had a bunch of assignment sheets that I had created with a font that it turns out that it didn't print well, didn't look well. So I'd already done all of it, and I had like 60 or 70 occurrences of that. And you don't even have to replace words. You can just go in and say find this font and replace it with this font. It'll change the font occurrence everywhere in the document. You know, if you got 100 occurrences of it, it'll just change the whole thing, and without having to go through and manually change everything. So it's a life-saving tool in some situations. Worth a look at, I think, in this situation for this class. Step I, after we've closed that find and replace box, it says to double space the body text, which is everything after the title line and before the picture. So my title line is the one I worked with earlier here. I want to select the body text from database technology has helped heroes all the way down to already doing so, but I don't want to select the picture. To do this the easy way, I'm going to go over in the left margin. I have the arrow pointing at the words database technology has helped heroes, and then I'm just going to hold down my left mouse button and drag straight down the margin. It'll pick up all of the text. Don't go so far as where your picture turns gray. You just want to select your body text, that's called. Then there's multiple ways to change my spacing, but there is a special button that's allocated for that on your home tab. So you're making sure your home tab's selected. Under the paragraph grouping, which is the third grouping from the left, there's a button right here that has an up and down arrow, up and down blue arrow. And if I click on that, it gives me options for line spacing. Currently there's a check mark next to 1.0, which stands for single line spacing. Click the 2.0 and all of your text is now double spaced. Leave the selection just as it is. For the next step, step J says using the paragraph dialog box, so that means we have to go back to this square in the lower right corner and launch the paragraph dialog box. Using the paragraph dialog box, indent the first line of each paragraph by 1/2 inch. I want to explain this to first. I had a couple of my students the other day that did this ahead of me and they had it wrong. Your indentation that says left here is not a first line indent. That's a full left indentation. So every single line is going to be indented by whatever you say there. It goes by this little marker that's right here. the right indentation comes from this marker, and it would go in from the right. So we don't want to use those in this situation. We want what's called a first line indent, which is a special indent, so it's under this special box here. So click the drop down arrow on the special box and change it to first line. When you change it to first line, by default, the indentation allocation here, or setting, is 0.5 inches, which is a half an inch. You get a preview down here of this actual paragraph. Database technology has helped here as it indents the first line and leaves the other lines flush to the left margin. So that's a first line indentation. If you see that, click OK. All first lines of each paragraph are indented half an inch. That's an automated tool that you can use. You can, we're doing this after the fact to text that already exists. You can set your document up like right from the beginning as you're typing, if you're doing a paper with all these settings, and it will automatically pick all these up. Or you can do them after the fact like we're doing here. It says to save your work. In the upper left corner, there's a button here, the very upper left corner in the blue area, that's a save button. I'm going to click that and make sure I save the document, since we did quite a bit there. Click the save button, yep. Step K. In the first paragraph, last sentence, use the synonyms feature to change the word distinguish to differentiate. That's this word right here, distinguish. To isolate the word, I still have everything selected, all the body text, so just click anywhere in the body text just to deselect everything, and then go down to distinguish. Again, it's right here at the bottom of the first paragraph. Right click on it. On the shortcut menu, about midway to the bottom there, it says synonyms. If you point to synonyms, you'll get a list. And I can change to differentiate, discriminate, decide, extricate, separate, etc. We want the first one, differentiate, so just click on that. And the word is automatically changed to differentiate. Again, it's a fantastic feature because if you're like me, you write a paper out, and then you realize you use the same word so many times that it sounds boring and it doesn't flow very well. And sometimes you do want to use something similar. You can just change the word and it sounds a whole lot better and more professional. So that's your synonyms feature. Step L, add a header on the right side using the format, your last name, a dash, and then the page number. The page number must be the automated version, not manually typed in. So this is not our class header for this class. This is a standard header that you would have on a paper that you write for a course. Differentiate. That one, yep, just click it. There you go. Yep, you're welcome. So I'm going to go up to the header area. I'm going to go in the upper left corner of the document, so way up in the corner is the best way that I usually access the header, and then I'm going to double click. Places me into the header. Again, this is not our standard course header just yet. This is for a term paper that you'd be writing for a class. So by default, your last name and the page number should be on the right hand side and nothing else. So we're currently on the left hand side, so if you press your tab key once, it moves you to the center. Press your tab key again, it moves you to the right. And then on the right hand side, you're going to put your last name in there. I'm going to put a space, a dash like the minus sign, and another space before I put my page number. And then after the dash, it says to insert the page number through the automated process, not manually typed in. If you're new to this, if you type in the page number like number 1 here, it's just going to say page 1 on every page, and you want it to advance automatically for you. So to do that, over here under this header and footer grouping, there's a button that says page number. I'm going to click page number. It looks a lot more complicated than it is. It gives us options. Okay, where do you want your page number? Top of the page, bottom, page margins. It doesn't matter where you're at in the document. Word allows you to put it wherever you want. However, I had you guys put it right where I want to be, which is kind of something I like to do. I just like control over things. So I'm over there, so I can use this thing that says current position, meaning wherever my cursor's at. I'm going to point at current position. And then I get a bunch of what they call like styles for page numbers. I want the one that's just plain number here, but take note of other styles that you could potentially use in the future in other areas. A term paper has to have the plain number, so we're just going to point to current position, click plain number, and then the number 1 is inserted because this is the first page. The next step on your assignment, step M, says to scroll down to page 2. So I'm going to go over to the right-hand side of my screen and grab my scroll bar and just drag down and verify that your second page header says number 2. Then you point at current position and plain number. There you go. And then all you're doing is scrolling down now just to make sure you got a 2 on the second one. Yep, you're welcome. For a moment here, let's get out of this because you didn't put your name there yet. Press tab twice. And then put your last name. And then a space. And then another dash. And another space. And then go to your page number where you were at. Point to current position. And then click plain number. There you go. And then all I've done now is just scroll down and make sure that page 2 says number 2. Step N, last step on page 1 here, it says press Control Home. So before I do that, I got to get out of my header and footer. If I'm on my header and footer tools design tab, this tab's only available when you're in the header. That's why it's kind of got this extra shading here. There's a button right here that says close header and footer. Don't close out of your document, just close the header and footer using that big button. Once I got out of the header, it kind of like put me at a selection for my name there, but I still want you to use the Control Home keystroke. So the control key, there's a couple of them, but the one I use is in the lower left of the keyboard. I'm going to hold Control, and then I'm going to tap the Home key, which is above your arrows, kind of on the middle right. Control Home always takes you to the top of your document. Of note, a regular Home tap will take you to the front of a line, but a Control Home takes you to the front of the document or the top of the document. So your cursor should now be blinking in front of your name at the top page. Make sure it is. Any troubles? So hold Control and then tap Home. Perfect. No. Well, yes and no. I needed that. You're ahead of me, so remember, don't stop me till I catch up to you.
Well, I was just trying to put that step in. I guess I skipped it by accident, which is why I was asking.
Yeah, I don't. If you're ahead of me, I'll catch up with you when you get there, or when I get there, I mean. So I'm at the top of the document. It says to create a next page section break at the top of the first page. This is not a regular page break, so this is a critical spot here. Note, a next page section break is accessible via the layout tab, so that's where we're going to go. My cursor does have to be in front of my name there. I'm going to click the layout tab. Under the layout tab, in the page setup grouping, there is a grouping called breaks right here, or a button that says breaks. If I click that, I get all these break options. So a regular page break is one of those things that just says page right there. But we want a next page section break. Notice that there's other breaks here so that you've become familiar, throughout this course here. You're going to be using the continuous section break, you're going to use a column break. On this assignment, we want this one that says next page. So you're going to click next page. Because we were at the top of the document, when we did a break, it inserted a page above. So we have a blank page above that now. And because it was a section break, it also broke the section, which is significant here as well. So you have a page break and separate sections now. At the top of the second page of the lab sheet, at step O says, again, press Control Home. So you're again pressing the Control key and the Home key. Because there's actually no text in the body of this first page, my cursor's not blinking in there just yet. But we're going to type in the title of the document, which is Harrah's Las Vegas. Make sure to spell correctly and that you have a capital H, L, and V. This is a good chance for me to explain how I grade stuff here. It's a technical class, so I'm not going to probably be as picky as somebody that's teaching like your English class or a business class maybe that's looking for spelling errors. But if you make a spelling or capitalization error on the title, then that's not good. So this one is a glaring error if you were to make it, so you would lose a point here. However, in the middle of the document, sometimes if you have a small spelling error, it may not cost you in this class. You're not going to be in the header. You don't want to be in the header. So just type Harrah's Las Vegas. Just hit Control Home again. Home, and then just start typing Harrah's. Don't position your cursor. There you go. Just make sure it's capital H. Oh yeah. That's nice, isn't it? Good for the moment. Call me over again if it's stuck again. I'll try to get a ticket in on that. All right. Yeah. You're welcome. Technical issues. step P, after we've typed it, it says apply Georgia font to the title, bold the title, and change its font size to 36. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side of the title here, and I'm going to click in the margin to select the title so that whatever I do applies to it. I'm going to click on my Home tab. The first thing it says is to apply Georgia font. It's currently Times New Roman font, and that's this box right here that says Times New Roman. Click the drop-down arrow on this box that says Times New Roman. And fonts, there's a couple of theme fonts there first, and then after that, they're all alphabetized. So Georgia, I just have to scroll down to the G's. And you can use your scroll bar to get there quickly, or you can use the scroll on the mouse. And there's Georgia. So I'm going to click Georgia, changes my font slightly. Don't forget to apply bold formatting, so that's the B button right here for bold. I'm going to click that so it bold faces it. And then the font size is 12 currently, and instead of 12, I'm going to click the drop down arrow on the 12. And I'm going to change it to 36 in this list. I'm not limited to these fonts, by the way. Like, you don't have to just click the fonts in the list, like in the future on things. This assignment, I do want it to be 36, but I could type out the font if I can't find it here. There we go, 36 point bold, Georgia. No troubles? Okay. Step P continues on here. It says there's a lot here on this step. Center the title both horizontally and vertically. So currently it's left aligned by this button right here. We want to click this next one over here that says center. So align center, you're going to click the button right there to align it center. That's a simple but important thing coming out of this class too. If you've been like space barring over anything to center it or tabbing, there's a centering feature. As long as you haven't applied any other settings that would mess up your centering, all you got to do is click a centering button and it just puts your words right in the middle of the document. Additionally, it says apply vertical centering. This one's a little complex. It says vertically is located under the Layout Page Setup Layout tab. Also, while we're in there, we're going to check the box to have a different first page header. And so we'll do that step next here. It says to go to the Layout tab, so I'm going to click my Layout tab. Page Setup. So the Page Setup dialog box launcher is the square in the lower right corner of the Page Setup grouping. So it's that square right there. I'm going to click on that. It launches the Page Setup dialog box, and there's 3 tabs in there: Margins, Paper, and Layout. I'm going to go to the Layout tab, one on the far right. And here, under vertical alignment for the page here, notice it says top, which is the default. I want that to be center, so click the drop down arrow on top, on the word top there, and change it to center. And then also, the step P says to check the box to have a different first page header. So there is a box here under headers and footers that says different first page. Just click in that box to put a check mark. So there's 2 things we're doing here. Check the box for different first page. Your vertical alignment should be center. Notice that this vertical alignment is only going to apply to the selected section. So the section that we're currently in, which should be a separate section if you did it correctly, it should only vertically center just this page. Okay, if that's all true, click OK. Here is Las Vegas. The large text just bops right down to the middle of the first page. And because we checked the box to have a different first page header, our header is different. It's empty now again on the first page. Our other pages still do have the numbering. You okay? Okay. I wanted to check with you because we're correct. So step Q says, now we're going to actually put our class header on the first page. So I'm going to scroll to the top if necessary. I want to be able to see the top of this white page that says Harrah's Las Vegas. Essentially right in the very upper left corner, I'm going to double click again to get me in the header. And this is a class header this time. So this is your last name, first initial, like we did last week for the lab. After you type your last name, first initial, press tab to move to the center. Remember, we're going to put the file name here. The file name is Harrah's Las Vegas, but you don't have to type it because you can use the tool to enter it. So over here under Document Info, I'm going to click Document Info. And I'm going to click File Name. It automatically will put Harrah's Las Vegas in there for us. I'm doing things the lazy way. And then you're going to press Tab to move to the right-hand side. You can either type WordLab1 or WD-Lab1. I usually put WD to shorten things up, so WD-Lab1. That's how the class header should look. I'll leave it up there for a second. Your name, remember it has to be your full last name.
And then you didn't type that out just now? WordLab1?
I typed that out.
Okay.
This one I clicked the Document Info file name. I can't remember who it was. A couple of you guys had some space barring going on, like in the other header for that other assignment. You want to get out of that habit. Just use tab to move to the center and move to the right. It's a lot easier. It's also going to keep your header in alignment. That first assignment, if it was aligned a little bit off, it's not going to really hurt me, but as we proceed here, you could lose a header point if it's kind of sloppy. All right, so now I've got my header in there. I can close out of my header and footer. Again, be careful not to close your document. I'm just talking about hitting this big X that says close header and footer to get out of the header. It says to save my work, so I'm going to click the save button again. That's very important there to make sure we save at that juncture. Is everybody okay? On the next step, which is R, it says scroll down and click on the picture. There's a particular spot that I want to be here for this picture. So I'm scrolling down. I want to get the picture, but when I get it, I want it to be at the bottom of my screen because that'll make this next step the easiest. So position your screen so that the picture is kind of near the bottom and then click on it. Once you've clicked on the picture, we were talking about context the other day. We've been in the header, which gives us a certain context. The picture also does, because once I'm on a picture, I get a Picture Tools Format tab only for pictures that appears up there. So once you're on the picture, go up and click on the Picture Tools Format tab. And then we're going to go over to this Wrap Text button right here. So you're going to click Wrap Text under the Arrange grouping. When we click Wrap Text, it gives us options for text wrapping. Currently, this picture is the first item there, which is called Inline with Text. So Word treats it like another letter. If we want Word to treat it like a floating object, which means I can move it around on my sheet. I need to do one of the others, and the assignment says to choose tight. So click on tight. Once I choose tight, I get an anchor over here, which means that that picture is anchored to that location, and I will be able to move the picture. Yeah, you're going to click wrap text here, and then tight. Yep, and then yep, and now I'm going to move it. So it says, after I've changed it to tight, it's now movable. So step S says to drag the picture up into the second paragraph under the line of text that reads, come to a different Hera property, and position the picture flush to, meaning even with the left margin. To drag a picture, I go over top of the picture, and I'm going to go right into the sky area. So if I go into the sky, I get a four-headed arrow, which allows me to drag it or move the picture. And I'm going to hold down my left mouse button with that four-headed arrow and just drag up, and it will actually hit a ceiling here, like it'll try to lock. And what you can do is just kind of move back and forth and get kind of aggressive and move it up to the top, and then do the same thing, kind of like move it back and forth and push. And we want to be under this line that says, one example of this, as pointed out in the case study, customers who come to a different Hera property than the one they frequent. And I also want to be flush to the left margin, and I should get a green line that tells me when I'm flush. Like if I'm not flush, like over here, it won't be green. I also don't want to be, the margin is not the edge of the paper like that. I've had people do that. I want it to be flush to that left margin where the text is, and have a bit of a gap under the words different Hera property than the one they frequent. And I'm going to let go right there. If yours doesn't position exactly like mine, just grab it again with the four-headed arrow and reposition until it looks like that. No green line for you? Occasionally that does happen. Go up a little bit where you were at there. Don't worry about the green line actually. Just get it in the right position. Go down, down. Right there. You're good. You are good actually. Doesn't have to be any more perfect than that. Yeah. Yours is a little tighter, but I'm okay with it. Good eyeball though. So that's how to create a floating object out of a picture and move it around. You're going to do that in Chapter 2 a little bit. This assignment does deal with pieces of Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 4. So far we've been mainly focusing on Chapter 1 and 2. On this next couple of steps I'm going to go to Chapter 4 topics. So step T says in the body text, second paragraph, first sentence. So it's essentially right where we're at right now. Right above the picture here, it says, one example of this is, as pointed out in the case study. Click your cursor right between the word study and the comma. It does have to be between the word study and the comma. I'm picky about that, so your blinking cursor is right after study but before the comma. And then it says, after you've positioned it there, select the References tab. So I'm going to click the References tab. Select the APA 6th edition. You can choose what type of citation style you want for the document, and by default, Word has it set at APA style. If I click the drop-down arrow on the APA box, notice that it says APA 6th edition, which is what we want for this assignment. However, here at Macomb, they use MLA style as a standard, 7th edition. So if you want to proceed and use this for other classes, you would just simply have to switch it to MLA or whatever your instructor is using. The three most common styles for citation are APA, Chicago, and MLA. We're going to leave this as APA, so I'm going to click that drop down arrow again to collapse that. Just leave it as APA. Click the Insert Citation button, so the big button just to the left of that, and then click Add New Source, and you'll get a box that looks like the one that's on your lab sheet. And you can put in like a source as a website, you can put a magazine, whatever. In this case, we're going to use a book, so we're going to leave the default which says book. And then I'm going to have you fill these boxes out just like we see on the sheet here. So just complete the boxes as shown. I'll give you a while to do that. Try to make sure you spell correctly. If you just have a minor error here, I'm probably going to let it go. Just make sure there's not like a ton of spelling errors and capitalization errors. Pearson's getting your guys' money for the textbook this semester, and they got my money because this is actually my book from a previous semester and it's part of my paper. I just decided to roll it into an assignment. That way I can't get in trouble for using somebody else's paper because it's actually mine. The box in the lower left is auto-filled for you as you type, so how's your space bar on this one? Really? Wow, it's looking bad there.
Still feels pretty good.
At least it's working. See a couple of you guys double checking your work when you're done. That's not a bad idea. Just check your spelling. Okay, I think everybody's pretty well done. Okay. After we're done typing, it just says click OK. So I'm going to click OK. After I've clicked OK, it inserts an APA style citation for that reference that we just typed in the location that we clicked our cursor. And that APA style should be Lawden, 2004 in parentheses. Once we've done that, we can actually go right over top of Lawden 2004 in our document, and if we click it, it gives us a drop-down box for it. Click the drop-down box, and then click Edit Citation, and it will allow you through this little dialog box to add page numbers to this particular source here. So I'm going to click in the Pages box and type in 245-247 as shown on step U there. Just 245-247. You shouldn't see anything other than Lawden 2004, so you shouldn't have to suppress anything else here. If for some reason something else is showing up, like the title or something came right up in the text there, you could check the box to suppress it. But it should be okay. Just click OK. and it changes your citation so that the page numbers are included after law in 2004. Notice it puts PP because there's multiple pages. That's appropriate APA style citation. And the cool thing about it is, if you're not using this tool, you got to remember that you got to put PP there. Instead, it does it for you. No problems with the page numbering? All right. No problems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
So click in between the study.
Oh, you haven't done that yet? Hit cancel here for a second though. Hit insert citation. Just click on that right there. There you go. Now click on log in 2004. And drop down. Add a citation and then put those page numbers in. 245, 247. That's an interesting note here, by the way, you guys. Once you've got one in, let's say somewhere else in the document I want to use that citation. All I have to do is position my cursor there, click Insert Citation, and then the particular site that I did, all I have to do is click on it. I don't have to retype anything. It's already in my database. Okay, step V says to press Control End. That's the end key that says END, not the letter N. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, which is in the lower left corner, and I'm going to tap the END key, which is above my arrows. Instead of taking me to the top of the document, it takes me to the bottom of the document, which should be right there. So once your cursor is positioned at the bottom of the document, you're going to insert a regular page break this time. I could go to my breaks like we did before, but I'm going to do it through a simple tool here. If you just click the Insert tab, on the left there is a regular page break button right here, the third one. Just click Page Break. And it'll force a blank page at the bottom, which should be numbered as your name, page 4, and you'll have a blinking cursor right there. At that location, step V says on the new blank page, insert a references bibliography. It's got to be the references one. So I'm going to click the references tab. Right under where we did the APA style there's a button that says bibliography. I'm going to click bibliography. And notice I can choose from having a title of bibliography, references, or works cited. Since we're doing APA style, it's got to be the references one. For your MLA ones, if you're doing it for another class here at Macomb, it'd be works cited as MLA's style. So we're going to click the one that says references, and it will insert a references bibliography with the information that we just typed. Had I done more citations of different sources, let's say I did 10 of them, it'll drop all 10 of them in at once for me automatically. So your bib is just like that once you've got everything entered. Step V also clarifies that this bib entry is formatted with a hanging indent 1/2 inch. To prove that, I'm going to click in it. I'm going to click my Home tab. I'm going to go to my Paragraph Dialog Box Launcher, which is the square in the lower part of the paragraph grouping. And notice, earlier we did a first line indent. This one's called a hanging indent, 1/2 inch. Bibliography entries should be set at a hanging indent. I'm going to click Cancel because we're not changing anything there. I just wanted to prove that we had a hanging indent. Because on your upcoming test, I usually have that as a question, that bibliography entries have a hanging indent. And what that means is the first line is always flush left. Any succeeding line is indented 1/2 inch. I'm going to have you click Save here, even though it doesn't say so. Let's click the Save button. And then we're going to do step W. It says to select the replaced text total rewards, which is now on page 3. So earlier we replaced this text. One reason I wanted it red is because it's easy to find now. So this text that's red that says total rewards, just drag through that. So I've dragged through the text total rewards. It's selected so I can do something with it. And it says on the insert tab, choose hyperlink. So if you click your insert tab and you look kind of in the middle here under links, there is a kind of a globe with a chain link there, which is hyperlink. Click that and it'll launch the insert hyperlink dialog box. Now I've given you the actual URL, Uniform Resource Locator, or what they call the web address there. But I'd like to try to just search for it, because a lot of times you don't know exactly what you want to link to. So there is a button right here that has a globe with a magnifying glass on it. If we click that button, it's going to launch a browser, and because Word is a Microsoft product, it's going to launch their old Internet Explorer browser, which is the light blue E with this kind of swoosh through it. And MSN is their default site too, so it should probably come up to MSN. We want to use Google. So we're going to go up to the msn.com in the address bar, click up there. However you usually like to go to Google, like www.google or just google.com. Just type www.google.com and press enter, and it will take you to the Google website. In the Google search box, I have underlined exactly what I want typed here. Just put in join total rewards. So join, J-O-I-N, space total rewards, and then just press enter. And if you're using Google, it should come up as the first item, the site that I want, which is www.caesars.com/program right here. So if you see that right there, just click on Total Rewards, Caesars Entertainment, that first one. And the website should look like this. Any troubles finding that site? Now here's the cool thing. We've browsed to that location. If we just leave it open, go back down to your taskbar here where you have Word open, click on the Word icon. We had left our dialog box open for insert hyperlink, and it actually puts the link right in there for us without us having to type it. Now all you got to do is click OK. And you've added a hyperlink to that site. Your red text changes to blue because a hyperlink by default has a blue text with an underline. Step X. It says insert a custom watermark that reads draft and use the light blue font color. There's a hint here. Watermarks are available on the Design tab. So click your Design tab at the top. The watermark button is all the way over here on the right where it says watermark. I'm going to click that. And it comes up and it gives us some like previews of watermarks and how they're going to look. Instead of clicking one of those, I just want you to experience something slightly different because we're going to add some blue. So there's one right here at the bottom, this word that says custom watermark. So click on the words custom watermark. A dialog box comes up. Currently in our document we have no watermark, so it says no watermark. But we want to have a text watermark, so check that little button there next to text watermark. The text that we want, we could either type it or they actually have default text. So where it says text ASAP for as soon as possible, just click that drop down arrow next to ASAP and change it to draft. And then lastly, a couple more boxes down here, there is a box that says color, and you see that gray color. I'd rather have a light blue color on this one, so click the drop down arrow and go under your standard colors, point to the one that has the lightest blue color, which is light blue, and click it so that you see the light blue in the color box, and then click apply. It'll actually show your draft in behind there, and then click close. It should be defaulting to a diagonal across your document.
So we click OK or apply.
Apply. OK actually works too here, but apply actually shows it live before you get out of the box. Apply. And then close. You did everything correctly. Yeah, you got it. Yep. Looks good. From everything I can tell offhand right there.
Alright.
Yeah.
And I did put the PDF to work.
Okay, I'm going to do that next here. So step Y, I can't stress this enough here. Important, this is your grade here, save the document. So make sure you go up and click save. Step Z says run the compatibility checker to check for issues with previous versions of Word. If I wanted to send this document to somebody that has an older version of Office, there's a compatibility checker that Chapter 1 deals with, so I'm just going to have you explore this briefly here. If you click the File tab, there is an area here that says Inspect Document, and there's a button that says Check Issues. If you click Check Issues and then Check Compatibility, it'll briefly run a scan, and it'll say that your citations that you entered and your bibliography will be converted to static text and no longer can be updated automatically in an older version of Word. But other than that, it's pretty clear. In other words, it's pretty much the same. So if I send it to somebody else with an older version, in other words, they wouldn't be able to modify my bib or anything. Just go ahead and click OK. It's just a little exploration there. And then, again, make sure if you have any doubts that you saved it, save it again. And then do step AA, which says save it as a PDF using the same name. So I'm going to click my File tab, and then I'm going to click Save As, and then I'm going to click Browse, because I want to browse. At the beginning of class today, we saved Harrah's Las Vegas as a Word file under completed assignments in Word, so it should automatically go back to that location. If not, you need to be there. Instead of a Word document this time, click on the words Word document and change it to PDF, which is down here a few, just PDF. So it should be Harrah's Las Vegas, the same name, but we're saving it as a PDF, and then click Save. Most of the PCs in here are configured. Once you save as a PDF, it'll actually open the document in Adobe. That's Adobe Reader. So you still have your Word document open, but you also have a PDF file. And if I scroll down, this little thing popped up. I just got to X out of it. If I scroll down and I go to my hyperlink that we did, Total Rewards, and I hover my mouse over the link, I get a little link icon like if you're on the web. And if you click that and click Allow, it should automatically go to the website. Just make sure that it does. the other day too. It was one of these machines. You should be good as long as when you did the hyperlink, it was okay. If there's any troubles when I grade it, just remind me that we talked about it because you couldn't verify it. Okay, so if your hyperlink worked, all we have to do is submit this. So it says, after ensuring that both versions are saved, close both files. So I'm going to close out of this website and PDF. Again, if you had any doubt that your Word document was saved, click Save again and then close it. I'm going to use Chrome to log into Canvas. I'm actually going to back out here for a second for those of you guys that may have been out of it, just to remind you that how we do this. So I go to Macomb Community College, I click on My Macomb, I log in. Once I've logged in, on Campus Applications on the left, there's Canvas. I'm going to launch it. I got to re-log in here. And once I get in there, I'm going to click on our class square there for S1613. To drop this in the Dropbox, I usually use syllabus, so I'm going to click on syllabus. And then I'm going to go over here to Word Lab 1, which is due Thursday, January 17th. I'm going to click on Word Lab 1. It's actually, it may show that it's late because it's due at 1:50 and it's exactly 1:50 right now. You're going to click on the green button that says Submit Assignment. If you're in Chrome, it should say Choose File here. If it's another browser, it might say something else, but we're going to click that button that says Choose File. And we want to make sure we navigate to our USB drive, so I'm going to click on my drive. And those of you guys that didn't have your drive, it'll be out where you saved it on the desktop. We're going to go to Completed Assignments. We're going to go to Word. And there's my two files that I've saved. There's the Word document with the blue icon and the PDF with the red icon. I'm going to put the Word document in there first. So I'm going to double click on Harrah's Las Vegas, the Word document. The words harrahslasvegas.docx should appear here. I need the other file in the same submission, so we're going to click this button right below this that says Add Another File. And then we're going to click Choose File on the second button. And then double click the Harrah's Las Vegas with the red icon, which is the PDF. And then you're verifying that you got a Harrah's Las Vegas docx and a Harrah's Las Vegas PDF. And if you do, you can just click the green button that says Submit Assignment. Don't worry if it says it's late because it's only like about a minute after here. Submission details. You should see that you have your docx and your PDF there. Drop your lab sheet with your name on it on the desk right here and pick up a homework assignment which is on this colored sheet of paper. So I'm going to leave a stack of homework assignments for Word Project 1 here.
Good luck with today's lesson.